everybody, and welcome back to the Nextlander podcast. We've got a pretty exciting, pretty special show going on today. I'm Vinny Caravella. Brad Shoemaker, are you ready for this pretty exciting, pretty special show? What a shoe.
Rip roaring? Rip roaring.
Right. What a shoe. What a show. Well, yes, a rip roaring. We're here to roar all the rips.
Whitewater.
Yes, rafting. Alex Navarro. We
what
need
have I
you
walked
to
into here?
A pretty good shoe. Pretty good shoe
intense
maker.
Amount of enthusiasm, whitewater rafting metaphors right out of the gate. I'm not mentally prepared for any of this.
We're going to talk more about our thoughts on The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. We're going to talk about Star Trek Resurgence, Planet of Lana, Warhammer 40k, Boltgun, After Us, all of that stuff. But also, we're going to take a break sometime during the show, probably about an hour from now, to go watch live and stream alongside the Sony Showcase, PlayStation Showcase.
PlayStation Showcase.
Really big shoes.
Really big
E3
shoes.
season has begun. Oh, wait a minute.
So we're recording this beforehand. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll share our thoughts with you right after we do that. And that's
Hot live reacts. And by live,
Yes.
I mean live to tape after the fact.
Yeah,
also live if you're watching it.
It's kind of crazy to think that this is basically the Sony press conference, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're
doing
going to turn
another
around
one next month.
Yeah, they're not going to turn around and do another one in 2 weeks with the other Summer Game Fest stuff. Like, this is kind of what the E3 press conference would have been.
Yeah, so we're, as of now, we are not sure exactly what's going to be shown there. We've seen, where we've speculated because of what they could show, but we really don't know.
Yeah, and it kind of, like, I'm not going to say there's no fanfare around this. Like, obviously, like, we're going to be watching it. Everybody's going to be watching it, but, like, again, I kind of just had that realization as we were starting this podcast of like, oh wait, this is their thing for the summer. This is it. They may announce games that will come out this year at this thing. Like, it's just
Welcome to E3.
When everything is a stream and everything is just on its own time. Like I've been very anti like we need E3 just to have everything in the same week because E3 needs more reason to exist than that. But like, I do kind of get the argument of like, this stuff just sort of happens. It sort of comes and goes. There isn't that quite the same feeling in the air as there is when you're getting 8 of these in 1 week.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, the less pomp, less circumstance, less pageantry.
There's some pomp, but
there's some
it's
pomp,
not.
but
The
it's mostly
circumstance
me.
is not there.
Before we get started on Zelda and the rest of the kingdom of video games, let me tell you about my Vinny's no good, really weird day I had yesterday. It started off in the traditional manner, which is my wife takes my son earlier than I take my daughter. She takes him to the middle school, and then I take my son to the elementary school. Or sorry, reverse that. Takes my son to the middle school, and then I take my daughter to the elementary school because the start times are different. And then we usually meet up, and then I go get a coffee and we get to work. Mm-hmm. So about 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. I'm doing my business. I go downstairs, take my shower. I need to take my shower after the kids brush now because they complain that the bathroom gets too steamy when I take the shower. So now I have to wait for them, which worked out.
They can't brush when it's too humid.
My daughter says it smells. She says the bathroom smells, and I said, "Smells like what?" And she says, "Smells like you." And I said, "You know what? I'll just fine. I'll
I'm telling you, there is a brutality to that girl that is really impressive."
And so my son doesn't care, but my daughter does. So, which is good because it has led me to be like, you know what? So now, while I'm waiting, I'll do some sit-ups and push-ups and stretches and stuff. I'll do some light. I have found that the maintenance on the body is a thing I need to keep up with now. I really do. I can't ignore it. So I'll do like those, Dick Van Dyke style stretches get out of bed and just like, I'll just do those, see if I can touch my toes.
Somebody on the Discord not long after we had a Discord said they were also in their 40s and that they had gone from working out to look good to working out to keep from falling apart.
That's right. That's kind of where I feel like
I didn't fully appreciate what that meant until very recently.
Yeah. So look, it's about a 20 minutes to a half hour. It's not that extensive stuff in the morning, but I'll do it. Anyway, I go downstairs and I'm like, oh my good Lord, what is that smell? And it occurred to me very quickly. There's only one thing that smells like that. Sewage backup in the basement again.
Oh, cool.
So
grab your router.
So I grab my poop boots, which I now keep by the back door, the boots that are strapped them on, called my wife and said, "Look, we've got a poo emergency. It's in the basement. I don't think it's ankle deep yet, but
there has been infiltration.
I'm sending the child out of the house. Please meet her. She's going to be walking alone. She's going to take her walk to school without me because I'm going to plunge my hand into the cold, dark, brown waters in the basement to try and relieve the drain." It fucking sucks. It sucks so much to have to snake out that drain and just God knows what else is in there. And then I have to move everything out of the way, which, Alex, you've been in my basement. There's stuff down here.
Oh, there's stuff.
There's stuff. I got to move it all out of the way. I put on gloves and I have a snake and I get the back up down. Luckily, it seems like it backed up after I took my shower.
Okay.
So, because this is all the water in the house, right? So the water in the house cannot leave the house. This is where the backup happens, the clog, right at the exit point. So if somebody flushes a toilet, it's coming out in the basement. If I take a shower, it's going to come out in the basement. So luckily, I think it just happened after I took my shower. Something must have happened. I got to drain that thing, and then I've got to mix up a little bleach and water, and I have to spray the floor. I have to scrub the floor because this is,
yeah.
It's gross and it's probably bacteria and stuff. So and then it smells like bleach down here. And then I was like, do all that, go for my coffee on my own after my wife comes back. And then this is just kind of weird. I'm online for my coffee and the guy in front of me is like, I'm buying his coffee. I don't know who this person is. I've never met them before. And I'm like, what? He's like, whatever he's having. And I said, no, I'm good. I was like, no, I'm good. Thank you. But thank you very much. That's very kind of you. He's like, no, don't worry about it, guy. I was like, what's the occasion? And he goes, you were in front of me and you held the door for me and let me go first. And I was like, I'm trying to think back of like, did I? I don't remember that. But he's like, and he goes, this is the part that tipped it into, you just don't see that much anymore. I was like, oh boy, is this, are you upset about the kids? Is this a thing? Anyway, I took his coffee and I was like, eventually I was just like, oh, thank you very much. That's okay. So I was like, that's kind of a nice thing, but kind of an awkward thing. I kind of had that poopy day and then I got, a free coffee and a Dunkin' Donuts. It's like $3. So that's not nothing. And it made me feel good about myself. I guess I did hold the door open for somebody. I don't think it's that big a deal, but
sure.
I did. And then later on in the day, my neighbors had a lock and they need to change the locks on their house. They're moving and they need to change the locks on their house, which I think is ridiculous. Alex, you might be running into something like this, but the locks they have on like 3 of their doors have keys on the inside and the outside. And I guess those are illegal. I could see why. If there's a fire, you don't want to have to look for a key to unlock the door to get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So before they sell the house, they have to change those. But the people buying the house are just going to change the locks anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they have to go through the trouble of changing these locks. Anyway, they're older. I offered to help them. To access the screws on the lock has to be in a lock position because there are these 2 little covers over the screw holes. They don't have the key to the lock. And I was like, oh boy. So I'm like, hold on. About 8 years ago, I bought a lockpick set. So cut to me sitting in my neighbor's house trying to pick their lock for about a half hour.
You've played Bethesda games. You know how this works.
I know how this works. Don't go too hard. You'll snap the pick off.
Just rotate the pick back and forth, and if it vibrates too much, move it before it breaks.
When you see the X button pop up, hit it.
I'm not going to say I'm a terrible lockpick, but I couldn't get it. But I do like lockpicking, which then sent me down a rabbit hole of like, well, how do I pick this lock? Which then sent me down a rabbit hole of being like, I should practice lockpicking more. So I bought one of those like clear locks you can buy that you can put the lockpicks in and see how they're working and stuff. So that led me down to my wife being like, you probably should never go on the computer ever again. you were up until what time looking at lockpicking stuff? And I was like, oh, like 1 o'clock.
I mean, regrettably, it's kind of your whole job to be on the computer, so there is that.
I need one of those weird DNS sync things they get for kids that don't let me go to certain sites, but for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, oh, okay.
No more lockpicking sites for you.
What a weird freaking day.
Yeah.
That was a weird one.
Look, deal with some poop in the morning. Experience a random act of kindness. It's the American dream.
Break into your neighbor's house.
Yeah, maybe get into a little petty larceny. My neighbor, I was like, look, there are two results from this. I told my neighbors. One is I do this and you tell my wife I was justified in getting a lockpick set from 8 years ago. The other is we never talk about this again and never mention your neighbor was in your house trying to pick your locks. They're very nice people. I enjoy them very much. Anyway, that's my
that was a day.
That's a weird day. Not to mention, the rest of the stuff. We streamed was that yesterday? No, we recorded Dread yesterday, which was also on the heels of me coming back from my poop laden adventure. So if I sound weird in that one, it's probably the bleach fumes that did it.
No, I don't remember anything too weird about it except for the part where you kept yelling poop everywhere.
I'm
that's
on
not
slow
in the movie, man.
I feel like everything's going so slow. Anyway, Alex, I hope your house adventures are going very well.
They're ongoing. There are things we're dealing with them, but again, as with each day that passes, it is increasingly unlikely that this deal will fall apart. So
that's good.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna just do this.
If I didn't mention it before, Alex is actually going to be my new neighbor. He's moving to that house, which is just weird. Literally next door.
I mean,
literally.
I'm crossing state lines to be in your vicinity. I wouldn't call you a neighbor just yet.
Does your new house also have a conduit for poop to enter the premises?
I haven't inspected all the conduits, but we did get the sewer inspection report, and they came back and they said only a very minor amount of rooting.
Rooting, like roots in the blocking.
Yes, but it's a very small amount, and it's the kind of thing that could probably be flushed out with chemicals, as opposed to having to go in there and do something more elaborate.
Are there trees nearby, or it's like roots from other?
Yeah, there's trees all over the goddamn place.
Would it kill the tree? Yeah.
I mean, if it did,
fix it.
we can get a different tree. I mean, it's not the end of the world. There's one tree in the front yard, and we prefer to keep it. But it's an elaborate root system. If one root gets slightly poisoned, I'm pretty sure it won't kill the entire tree.
I don't know. Don't add Alex.
Well, I'd rather have a sewer. If I'm being honest about this, I would rather have an intact sewer line.
Yeah, you don't want that poop in the house.
No,
I'll tell you that. I'll say for our business over here, we were lucky. We had ours checked when we had the first backup, and that's not the problem.
Yeah,
problem is too much damn toilet paper. So I had to have a talk with the kids about. Look,
you keep this up, we're going single ply, and no one's going to be happy.
We're just going to become a bidet household.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just what's going to happen here, folks. It's going to be a bidet and a freaking 3 seashells in the bathroom. All right, we got a lot to get to before we take our break here for the Sony PlayStation stuff. So let's jump right into it with week 2. Let's call it week 2 of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Brad, you're still going strong in Breath of the Wild.
I can't stop playing it, and I know nobody wants to hear about a 6-year-old video game in here unless people write in and say that they do. But I can't stop playing it.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes. Well, yes. Couple of caveats, which we will get to. Actually, why don't we just get to one of them now? What's up with the rain in Tears of the Kingdom?
It's too much.
There's Rain's too much.
Still?
Gotta get that climbing gear. In Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes.
I find certain areas, I don't know if it's narrative or not, seem to have more rain than others.
Okay.
But it still rains. You still get lightning storms where you gotta put your weapons and shields and stuff away. I thought I heard someone say the internet or actually Nintendo say it's supposed to rain less.
Yeah, it's supposed to be less frequent, and apparently there are more abilities that let you mitigate some of the rain stuff as you go along.
You can make sticky elixirs, which help with the climbing and stuff.
Is that new?
I don't remember them.
This is how I'm going to parlay Breath of the Wild playing into podcast content, is to use it as a springboard to ask you guys questions about the new one.
I love it. No, this is good because I forgot everything about Breath of the Wild.
Every time it rains in this fucking game, I just go, who the fuck thought this was fun? What purpose does this serve? Why?
Some people enjoy suffering, that's just the way they are.
Well, suffering that can be overcome is the kind of suffering I enjoy. Like and again, I'm just curious what they've done to mitigate this in the new game, but like it's I don't know how many times I've been like quite literally about to climb something. Like the thing I'm about to do involves climbing. Right. There's no way around that. I'm going for a secret or like whatever my current task is. And I love that about this game is you can just checklist stuff. It's like, I'm going to go over here and then I'm going to hit this thing. And then, oh, what's that? I'm going to go see what that, whenever my next thing is climbing is when the rain always happens.
Of course.
Like, there is nothing there is no skill I can employ to get up this cliff while it is wet. I just have to go do something else.
I'm only climbing when it rains.
Yes.
Did you do the first beast or the narrative first beast?
No, I'm still around there. You
should do it.
Yeah, I need to. Actually, that was here I am hijacking the new Zelda conversation with the old Zelda. I started to go do the Zora one, which gets you the thing that brings you back to life once a day.
Oh, yeah.
But then I looked up the other powers. One. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up all the powers, and the game very clearly wants you to go do the Zora one first and get that resurrection power. But that fly anywhere you want power just seems so goddamn good that like
I think is it like Rivali's Gust or something? It's something
Gale.
Gale? I remember it being like
game
why
changer,
this is yes. I think it gives you an updraft, which would just lift you into the air.
That's what it is, and yes, that would solve the rain problem in a lot of cases, but like that area is a lot harder, and I've still been building up hearts and stamina and stuff. So I just haven't gone over there yet, but I might soft break sequence here. Mm-hmm. Even though they technically let you do whatever you want, it's pretty clear they want you to do that Zora one first, but I might go get that. Half the reason I'm not getting that power is because then it's going to remove that friction from the game, I think. And it's like, the easier I make this on myself...
You don't want that friction.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, you want that friction. You don't want that rain. It's a pain in the neck, man.
That particular friction sucks. Some friction is good. But
it's
that
like,
one, yeah.
It's also just like so demoralizing because he just slides down a little, right? You just like...
That's... Dude, it's like the game is like slapping you in the face over and over. It feels like you are being punched over, or it's just mocking you.
So this is why, I'll just say, to piggyback on that, this is why it was a little deflating when you go in there, because you can overcome some of that stuff with the stamina wheel, right? If you put enough hearts into stamina.
Eventually you could brute force your way up most, if you have enough, but yeah.
And so it's why when this started in Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, they took all my stamina away. Like I spent so long getting all that stamina. They have the thing where you can go through ceilings. That mitigates a lot of it, or some of it, because you can kind of cheese your way under plateaus to use that. The elixirs you can make, and even if it rains as much, which I think it doesn't, you can also build items like hot air balloons and stuff like that. Yeah. So some of that is mitigated through those.
I've lost count of the number of Twitter videos I've seen of people's different takes on what a flying machine should be in that game.
It can be anything you want, man.
Seems like there's a lot of ways to fly.
You can also, I'll say this, you can also approach the top of a mountain from above it now, because you can get up into the sky. So you can, you could just kind of paradrop onto the top of it. So yes, a lot of that stuff is not as big a deal anymore.
Do they start giving you faster or easier ways to get up to the Sky Islands? Like it seemed like early on you're having to like ride stuff that fell down with the reverse time thing and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
there's that. I mean, don't the towers will launch you as well?
The towers will definitely, the kind of Ubisoft kind of let's check out the world map towers will skyrocket you into the air. Usually, if not to the top of the quote unquote skylands, to one low enough where you can then get to the rest of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, those you can get up there fairly. I don't spend any time up there currently. I really,
yeah, I haven't done much up there, but I'm behind where Vinny is. But I haven't done that much up in the Sky Islands because I discovered the depths, and that is where I have been spending some of my extra time.
That's what I actually kind of came in here wanting to ask about, the depths, because
it's the best part of the game so far.
Straight up got an email from after last week's podcast saying like, "Hey, go to the depths. Like that's where the good shit is."
Depths are fun. Two things about the depths. One, okay,
it's deep down there.
I don't want to spoil with that.
It's deep down there.
So it's dark down there. So there's this fun play on. It's dark but not punishing, because you use these plants of bright bulbs or whatever they're called, to bright seeds, and there's billions of them. You just have so many,
and you don't have to use arrows, despite what everyone else has been telling you. You can just throw those seeds.
Oh, just throw them.
It's fine.
You just throw them and they light up an area.
Every once in a while, you need to throw one at a ceiling, and then you use an arrow. But otherwise, just throw them.
I don't think I've used an arrow with them at all.
Are they permanent or do they run out?
I don't know if you leave and come back if they're still there. They might be. I feel like you have so many of them, I don't care.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You find them in basically every cave has some of them usually.
And there are permanent lighting sources you can trigger. Bright bloom. And there are permanent things that you can trigger, like checkpoints.
Yes.
That will light up
a whole area. Yeah.
It's fun down there. It's like a big mystery. It's like what you want.
If one of your favorite things in an open world game is uncovering map, they basically have found a way to make you do that twice here, and it's great because the uncovering method is totally different. It's the towers. And sort of like uncovering the regions on above ground, and then in below, it literally is just exploration and throwing the lights wherever you can.
That sounds cool. I mean, uncovering map is fun as long as there's stuff to do along the way.
There's stuff to find down there for sure.
Good stuff there.
It feels the most mysterious down there. Like it feels like this is where they buried. Like this is the stuff we don't talk about in Zelda is down here.
It seems the indication seems to be that if not the ancient civilization, then at least some ancient civilization was living down here at one point.
The other thing that has really upped my enjoyment of this game is I got the ability to basically spend the currency Zonite, that Zonite currency, to build anything I want.
Oh, so you got the auto build.
I did. Okay. I got the thing Nintendo didn't want you to talk about in previews.
Yes.
I got, and it is, my goodness. Remember I was complaining, hey, I just don't have enough of the Zonite stuff. Mm-hmm. Now I could just take out a blueprint, and for a very little amount of Zonite, it could just manufacture it.
And especially once you get to the depths, because you are finding Zonite all over the goddamn place down there.
Yeah, so that made things a lot more fun, a lot more manageable. I'm enjoying it a lot more because now I can interact with those systems a lot more aggressive. Like when I come across something, I can just build the thing quickly, favorite it, and now I have those pieces kind of forever, as long as I can spend the money on it, the Zonite on it.
Yeah.
So there's no like tower equivalent in the depths?
There is.
Like build out zones? Oh, really?
Yeah, there is. I forget what they're called, but I think it's connected to the overworld in some cool ways. I don't know exactly what they tie into, but
I got the sense that they were basically dotted the same way the shrines are.
Is it the shrines?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure.
I haven't done like the one-to-one math of this is the exact spot where a shrine is or whatever, but it's the same way that like it creates essentially like a sort of travel point on there when you hit those.
It feels expansive. I'm not sure. There are some sheer walls I've hit where I couldn't go to where I wanted to, but it's all right. Check this out. I'm just going to explain why I think the depths are so cool. What my favorite part is. Mm-hmm. It's very dark down there, right? So you really, really can't see unless you're throwing these seeds. But you can find minecart tracks and put a light on a minecart and put a fan on it and just start cruising through the darkness with this light on to get to where, across the depths, and like you're just passing by ruins of things and it's dark and things are hollering at you. It's rad.
I mean, the very first thing you do down there is the scientist guy that you meet in that overworld village is just like, I'm going down there, come meet me. And then you have to go find him, and you find an ancient statue down there. And he's like, this means this is crazy. This totally rewrites our history. We got to do more of this. Yeah. So, it's kind of gives you the sense that, like, oh, you're actually, like, doing archaeology as well as also, pilfering resources down here.
So, yeah, I've been down there quite a bit. I did pop up, and I'm trying to find one of the Great Fairies now, because the Great Fairies will give you...
That's how you upgrade your armor, right?
Armor upgrades, yeah.
I still haven't found one of those yet.
My economy is a way off. I'm constantly broke. I don't have any money. Everything now can be used for crafting, so I'm always nervous to sell something. And the economy is a little different than it is in Breath of the Wild. They've slashed some of the sell prices on the gems, so they're not worth as much. But I'm worried I might need them for upgrades. This is why I want to go find the Great Fairy. But I did this in Breath of the Wild. I'm trying to do it in Tears of the Kingdom. I hate chugging the potions for the temperature stuff. Like, I don't like having to keep drinking the potions to be like, oh, okay, now I'm cold. I just want to buy the armor set that lets me do it. So I'm in the Goron city, and I'm like, oh, it's so expensive. I need like 600 rupees, and I've got like 200, and I don't feel like farming food and all those things. So
yeah, I'm square in the middle of that crap in Breath of the Wild right now too, and it was just like, I'm going to spend 30 minutes creeping around this mesa looking for cold darners.
Okay.
The butter or not butterflies.
Sell to the bug guy?
Dragon. No. To make like heat resist elixirs out of, so I can even go to the Goron area. It's some upkeep for sure.
It feels tedious. I mean, it's better in Tears of the Kingdom because the food crafting is much easier and much lighter lift. Like you can if you have, let's say, I forget what the thing is in Breath of the Wild, but like a chill fruit, let's call it a chill fruit. If you have a stack of them, you could just click on one and then it says like add to recipe. You go to the recipe that gives you 12 minutes of it and it automatically will just grab all of them and start and cook them. You don't have to like add 5 of them to your inventory again and drop them in the thing. It's a lighter lift.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a nice improvement. So that's really nice.
I mean, some of the stuff you're describing is why I wanted to finish the first one first, because it sounds like you can't go back from some of these quality of life improvements.
I would be bummed out if I had to, or I would probably just find ways to cheese it at this point. I would just look back and be like, okay, how do I make money quickly again? Like, what's the best food to make and sell and load up on money?
You can sell food for money? Like, good money?
So, in Breath of the Wild, I think there was a pretty good economy of, like, baked apples sell better than raw apples, and so you can bake some stuff, sell it for a profit if you want.
Interesting. I hadn't even checked. I just assumed that food would not fetch any kind of price that was worth it.
That's good. I think the bugs sell for a lot also in Breath of the Wild to the bug collector guy, and the gems, I don't think you use them as much. I mean, you can fuse everything in this game, and the gems actually have some pretty, like, let's say you have, I'm in the range of, like, my weapons are, let's say 20 after I fuse 2 weapons together, right? Like 20, 25. Like a diamond adds like plus 30 or something like that to a weapon. So if you fuse the gems with the weapon, you get a lot of extra damage. But I haven't yet.
Do you see the goofy just rock on the end of the sword all the time, or when you fuse an element? Okay.
I'm constantly, because you kind of need those to bash open, like Alex was saying, all the Zonite things. You need a big boulder on a 2-handed weapon to do that stuff. So I constantly have like 3 of those in my inventory. The Korok seed economy also seems pretty good in this game. I hadn't engaged with it last podcast, but I have now. It's like 1 Korok seed in the beginning to get 1 extra slot of inventory. Then it's 2 Korok seeds to get the next one, 3 to get the next. And I rolled in there with like 20 Korok seeds and was like, oh, great, I'm just expanding all my inventory.
Have they come up with a lot of interesting new ways to get Korok seeds, or are they just using the same ones?
Well, I think there was one where I had to go through the ceiling to get one. Like there was a marker you had to travel through. Like that's new. You have you probably saw it somewhere. I think it was on the stream we did, where if you bring a Korok with the big backpack to a place, he gives you 2 Korok seeds.
Okay, that's new.
But other than that, you're lifting up boulders, finding a Korok, and then drop it on its head like you always do.
They still have the little pinwheel on the stump you stand on and do like an archery challenge.
Did that? Then like shoot the balloons.
The 5 flowers, like touch a flower and the next one appears, chase them down thing.
I don't know if. Oh no, I did. I think I did find one of those. Okay. Yeah, the little relay race thing.
Yes, there's the other one that spawns just like a yellow ring in the distance that you have to just get to and go through.
I don't know if I've done one of those yet.
I'm surprised that they
so many Koroks.
Yes, I mean it's a lot. I'm kind of surprised they reused any of those. Like they hold up. That's something I'm noticing playing this game. Like they hold up way better than a lot of the repetitive activities in most open world games, because at least each one is slightly different. Like you're dealing with different terrain or some slightly different climbing challenge or something to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or they put twists on things, but still, like, filling a whole second game with those same types of challenges is maybe a little much.
Yeah, I've gotten the one where you just climb the tallest tree, and there's one on the top of it, or like, oh, it's a ring of 6 boulders, and there's a boulder, there's a little pebble next to it. Yeah,
another classic.
Put the boulder in it. Like, you know, I do them when I find them because the inventory upgrades are definitely worth it.
So. Yeah, they're valid, and they're also quick. They're all generally fast enough. You can pop them off in like a minute or less.
Yeah, and like I said, after you pick up that boulder and find them under it, just drop that boulder and it lands right on their head. Ow! Yeah, I am enjoying Tears of the Kingdom more than I was, I think, last time I talked about it. Basically because I stopped worrying about I think the sky stuff and just went underground. Also, I just engaged. I found more of the systems. They kind of revealed themselves.
I think once everything kind of reveals itself and you find the abilities and find all the places you can possibly go, I think at that point it's really easy to just kind of let yourself get into a rhythm of, well, that looks interesting, I'm going to go do that. Oh, that looks interesting, I'm going to go do that, without having to feel like you're constantly looking for the thing you're supposed to have, you know?
And that build thing really changed the game for me.
Yeah,
like
that's a big one.
Not having to like be like, oh, I don't have a fan. And be like, oh, I could just spend. I've always got so much Zonite, I could just spend it to just do the thing I want.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about the progression. Like there's 3 tiers to map now. There's sky, land, and kind of depths.
Mm-hmm.
Like how does the story, like the 4 dungeons, the whatever else you're having to do to finish the game, does that like weave in and out of all 3 of those, or like is there anything in the depths?
Up on it.
Or I'm wondering if there's anything in the depths that like ties into those dungeons, or is like a thing you have to do, or is that did they straight up make a whole second map that is just there for you to explore, I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know if you'll get gated at some point if you don't engage with that stuff. Alex, what do you think? Do you think it'll gate you if you don't do that initial stuff with the dungeons? I mean, I know they kind of really lead you there. Oh, sorry, the depths. I know they kind of lead you there, but it kind of shows up as side quests. So I don't know if you have to do it, but it really seems like you.
Honestly, I made a beeline for that shit. Once they started talking about like, hey, we're going into these goddamn chasms, I was like, you know what? I want to see what that's about, because I've heard enough people talk about the depths that I felt like I did not want to like dick around and not see that. And I'm glad I did, because, even though I wouldn't say it's necessary for you to like, if you just went and did the first dungeon or, went to the first villages and whatever, I don't think it really matters that much. But I think it's good about revealing the scope of what is actually going on here. And it gives you something else that you can potentially just go dip back into any time when you feel like, okay, I don't really have a quest I feel like doing right now. What if I went and did some more of this?
I don't know, Brad, if it ties directly back into the A plot in a super meaningful way. It feels the most interesting to me, but I don't know if they will force you down there to go grab a thing eventually.
Yeah, I mean, everything Alex just described is kind of how the first game worked, except more, like, because that's what you do there, It's like, I'm putting off doing a beast because I just like, I'm going to go to the jungle area and like hunt down some of this rare armor that I heard about down there, and it's just like having more space to go poke around. Like, that's crucial to this type of game.
Yeah.
I've spent more time in the depths, and even the unofficial depths, the under Hyrule Castle stuff in the caves under Hyrule Castle, just exploring those, and I've just had the most fun down there. I think it's weird because it feels the most. It's not linear, but it's not, when you're in these tunnels, they branch and stuff, but it's enclosed, right? It's not this wide open, see that mountain, go there. But I kind of like that enclosed space that just branches and you're just walking this way and you're finding armor here in a it's more of a dungeon crawl than anything. You're just kind of campaigning. I think that's what it feels like. You're doing like a campaign underground when you run out of resources or get bored. They have a cool mechanic underground, which I like. Let's just call it, I don't know. Do you remember what they call the infliction you get that takes away your hearts? The corruption. Let's just call it corruption. You basically...
What's the gloom, right? It's the gloom that sort of permeates everything.
So as you're underground and you take hits from enemies underground, you actually lose a heart for semi-permanently. You can't refill it. Until you get out of the underground. So they kind of think they try to limit your time down there to say like, okay, you can be down there for as long as you want.
That's wild.
But then eventually you're probably going to have to go upstairs because you're going to not be able to refill your hearts to a point. And I kind of like that because it does feel like you're campaigning down there, right? It's like, okay, pack some food, let's go.
That does seem almost like D&D campaign type thing.
Yeah. I dig it.
Can you just use the port through the ceiling to get out at any time, or do you have to find exits?
It's a pretty high ceiling. I don't know. If you maybe found something to stand on, you can get up there. But
I know there's some way you're supposed to be able to get up and down that is not just either fast traveling or using the very specific chasms, but I haven't found it yet.
Oh, so. Can you just fast travel out of there?
You can totally fast travel out of there.
Oh, okay. So okay.
It's a point you found.
I was just wondering if you get to a point where it's like, oh god, I only have like max 1 heart left. I'm gonna have to like claw my way to the next exit, or if you can just bail whenever.
of getting through this game has been just anywhere I think I can find a new fast travel point. That's the first thing I go do is whatever, whether it's a shrine or whatever, village,
Tower.
whatever else, town. Yeah, anything I can find where it's like, okay, I have put my stamp here and I can come back here anytime. Yeah. Everything else kind of goes on the back burner until I go and do that. And that is, I think, going a long way for me in terms of like keeping me in a structured place where I feel like I'm not going to lose track of what it is I want to be doing. With the just sheer enormity of everything.
Or spending too much time trying to get back there.
Yeah.
Like, there are multiple chasms throughout the map. It's not just one area. So, like, there will be entrance points to the depths through some other means. But I haven't found it's so funny because I keep thinking about this as I'm playing. Like, all this stuff about being able to go through the roof, but what I really want is to be able to go through the ground. I just want to be able to sink into the mud. So maybe at some point you'll find mirrors or something that will reflect you back in. I don't know. Maybe I can turn myself upside down, flip around. I don't know. I just want to go down constantly. That's anything else you guys want to say about it? I'm enjoying it more. That's about. I'm
still having a blast. Like I've taken an approach where I'm only playing when I know I have a few hours in front of me where I'm not going to do anything else. I don't think it's a game that I want to approach in a bite-sized fashion. And that means I'm maybe not playing it as often as I would, something that I can do in smaller chunks. But I think I've also hit a point now where I'm like, I'm okay if I'm just playing Zelda for the rest of the year. Like I will play other video games too, but like I'm looking at this and I'm not putting that pressure of, well, I've got to keep up with the zeitgeist. I've got to start making my own fucking murder contraptions so that I can, get my fucking videos onto, highlight reel or whatever. It's like, no, I'm just going to let myself go with the flow on this one. And I think that's going a long way toward my enjoyment.
Yeah, like to your point last week about the way I'm doing this, is it going to be too much Zelda overdose to play both of these back to back? Like everything you're describing, I'm super excited to go play Breath of the Wild tonight as soon as possible. B, everything you're describing is just making me more excited to play the new one as soon as I finish it. Like, it sounds awesome. Everything you're describing about quality of life improvements and new places to explore. Like, I just want more of what I'm already doing. So it's literally what I was going to say as well. Is like, yes, I will probably be playing these two games for the rest of this year.
Yeah,
I'm definitely liking it more, but I don't think I am. I'm still not over the moon with the whole Breath of the Wild stuff. There are certain things I still don't really like the durability stuff. Like it still bothers me. I don't love that aspect of it. But I do think they have, at this point in my playthrough, have addressed some of my complaints from Breath of the Wild. But yeah, well, I'm curious to see if I run out of steam. I mean, I'll probably finish it, so I'm curious to see where I fall when I'm done with it. If I find this stuff to be like, I kind of got over the depths at some point, or like, by hour 30 I was kind of done with this stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it kind of shapes up. That is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, out now, or as of like 2 weeks ago. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk some more video games, and then we'll get into, after that, we'll get the news and that Sony showcase. So stick around. We'll be right back. This week's show is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies. Brad and Alex, it says here, MeUndies is a celebration of what makes you who you are underneath it all. That's because they got undies and socks and onesies.
Underneath it all, I am wearing underwear.
Alex Navarro, underneath it all, your underwear. Are you wearing MeUndies?
I have been known to wear MeUndies. This is not the first time we have done stuff with MeUndies, though this time around they sent me some more underwear. And let me tell you something about myself, Vinny Caravella, something you might not know about me. Despite my hardened exterior, despite my rugged masculinity,
with this one I know. Yeah.
I like soft underwear.
Okay.
I like it when it's comfy. Underwear? I like it when it's comfy around my junk and butt area.
Okay. How's MeUndies doing you in that regard? Fantastic. It says here, MeUndies has transformed the underwear game, and now they're entering their swimwear era. They've got, their swimwear phase. Every team goes through it. Ultra chlorine resistant, UPF 50+ for extra sun protection on your butt.
Look.
Hey,
you can get sunburned there. That's no good.
Surely can. sustainably sourced and imported under fair working conditions. That appeals to me. You want to get in on this MeUndies? You can get 25% off your first order plus free standard shipping. Visit MeUndies.com/Nextlander. Remember, if you're not satisfied, your purchase is on MeUndies. That's 25% off your first order at MeUndies.com/Nextlander. Thanks, MeUndies. And we are back. And we've got more video games. Alex, you're shaking your head. We do have more video games to talk about.
We do have more video games, but I have to assail the dignity of video games for a moment here. Just briefly looking at Twitter here, and I found out that Tina Turner has passed away.
Oh, no.
At the age of 83. And that's sad enough. But the way I found out that Tina Turner died is because I saw the Game Awards a post about Tina Turner dying.
The Game Awards told you about Tina Turner?
Iconic singer-songwriter Tina Turner has passed away at the age of 83. Her song What's Love Got to Do With It was featured in the Xbox karaoke game Lips, as well as SingStar Legends.
Oh,
Dude,
that's...
I mean, the second that you said the Game Awards, I started to say, well, okay, what role in a video game did they highlight in announcing this? But that's an even thinner connection than I could have possibly imagined.
I have yelled about this on social media before, and I look, I don't want to turn into a broken record about this, but there is just something so deeply undignified and pathetic about, like, desperately finding the gaming angle for any celebrity death you can. There is no need to do this. There is no reason for the Game Awards account to be out there cataloging every dead person who was in a video game of even marginal note. And it's just, why are we doing this?
They don't do it for movie soundtracks where they're like, this Tina Turner's songs appear. I guess maybe they would. I don't know. But I don't see it.
No. It's just trying to find the gaming angle at all possible cost, and it just, I already have my opinions about the Game Awards. It's not going a long way to changing those, is all I'm saying.
Well, R.I.P. Tina Turner.
Yeah, genuine, legendary singer-songwriter, amazing personality. Just why this?
For the video games. Yes.
No. Anyway, sorry.
I can't help looking at the quote tweets on that tweet. Somebody be like, some random person was like, God, no, not right after we lost Jerry Springer, the guy who was in Celebrity Deathmatch on the PS2.
Oh, Jesus.
Which, by the way, is the last one that the Game Awards also eulogized with that game in particular.
Did they actually do that?
Yes!
Oh, wow. I thought this was just a random poll.
Nope.
Maybe they need to rethink that their strategy there. Well,
anyway.
let's talk about it. Yes,
video games. Let's find the gaming angle.
The wheel to the right. Let's talk about Star Trek Resurgence.
There we go. Speaking of dignity, I mean, look, Star Trek has not always had the most dignified presence in video games. There are a lot of bad Star Trek games, but I think one thing, Brad, maybe you and I can most agree on.
Hang on. What are the bad Star Trek games?
I tend to find the ones that tend to lean heavier on the action are not so great.
Yeah, like the 2009 Star Trek that was basically just Gears of War.
Yeah, that one wasn't so good.
I didn't play that one. I don't know. I mean, there are a bajillion Star Trek games, and I have not played a ton of them, and I'm wondering. I know some of them are bad, but
I think more of them are bad than good, though the good ones tend to stand out more. I like that adventure game we were playing from the original series. Like, that was kind of a novel, interesting thing, and by all accounts, Judgment Rights is similar. So
I had been curious about 25th anniversary literally since buying computer game magazines in the early to mid 90s. So like seeing that game captures the spirit of Star Trek pretty well.
Absolutely, yeah, and it has the voice cast, which is great.
Yes, I still want to play Final Unity, the TNG point and click game that also has the voice cast at some point.
Yeah. Some of those FMV ones are fun, if also kind of inscrutable. Like there is good Star Trek stuff. The reason I'm mentioning all this is because Star Trek Resurgence is here. This is a new game. It is from the offshoot studio of Telltale. I forget which one, but this is, I think, their first big project coming out of that. And it's Telltale because Jared Emerson Johnson does the music for it. And it is a Telltale style adventure game set I believe after the events of Star Trek Nemesis. So this is still within the Next Generation timeline, but somewhat after the Next Generation movies. And you are playing a dual storyline between a new first officer on the USS Resolute, which is a science vessel, and also a petty officer that works kind of, it does grunt stuff, lower deck style stuff.
On the same ship. Okay.
And the setup for the story is basically, you're the new first officer after a bad accident happened that cost the lives of like 22 of the crew members. You've been brought in by the captain who knows you. And you are a Kobliad, which is a species that is in Star Trek lore. They're more of a kind of, they're sort of like Guinan's race in the sense that they are kind of displaced in the universe. They've kind of scattered to the winds after some kind of calamity. I don't remember everything about it, but I think they were one of the species that was also under the thrall of the Cardassians for a while. And they also have a unique medical condition where they have to have injections of a certain element or their cell structure begins to break down. So you have like kind of a medical drama on top of everything else.
This is one of the player characters?
This is one of the player characters. The other guy, the petty officer, is just a human who is sort of like low on the rung of the Starfleet, hierarchy. And
is this the woman with the vertical ridge on her? Okay.
Yes, that's her.
Star Trek, I classify every species by what kind of ridge.
Yeah,
you got a limited makeup budget to work with.
Yeah,
a forehead prosthetic is a good way to go.
Well, so with the new species they're adding for the story, they have gone a little further with the character design. It's something that I would say is more akin to something close to like Mass Effect style alien design.
This looks pretty good. Just looking at footage of it, like the art is maybe a little step up from a lot of the Telltale stuff. In terms of fidelity and realism, I don't know, you tell me.
I think the background art, like ship design, like landing on the planet, like, kind of all the space stuff, that all looks really good. It doesn't look great in motion. The animation is a little like stiff in the way that Telltale stuff definitely could be. But it's not bad. Like, I think really it's just like the Star Trek flavoring is all there and well rendered.
What is if you don't mind me asking, what is the kind of gameplay? Telltale stuff could previously be all over the map. Some bits of action, some bits of narrative stuff. What is this one?
So this one is similar in that I think the thing you're really going to be there for if you stick with it is for the story and the dialogue choices. You'll come up with different situations where like you'll have to make, one of 3 different dialogue decisions. And there isn't like a good choice or a bad choice. There are choices that like will make one character feel a certain way and another character feel a different way.
Will they remember this?
Yeah, kind of, but they don't go so far as to say that. It's more just like there is a menu you can go into that shows how all the different crew members that you've been interacting with feel about you and kind of fills in the narrative. They thought you made a good decision here, but they were a little wary about what how you behaved in this situation.
Okay, that's kind of like the Until Dawn slash the camping one we did.
The Quarry.
The Quarry, yeah, like the relationship stuff.
Yeah. So the story itself, like I'm only a few hours in, but the story itself mostly pertains to a burgeoning war between previously, I'll call them aligned, but there is definitely a little bit of imbalance there in terms of power structure. 2 species that sort of like the more advanced spacefaring technology species came in. They kind of struck a deal with, hundreds of years ago with the leadership of this other species to give them a bunch of technology and kind of improve their society in exchange for their labor force mining dilithium on their main moon, dilithium is one of the primary resources in all of Star Trek. But now there has been some sort of breach, some sort of rebellion on the mines. There is now a possible war between the 2 of them, and you're being sent in with Ambassador Spock, by the way, to negotiate a peace.
There are a million questions I can ask you, Alex. I'm not going to ask you a million questions. I will ask you maybe this one question if you think you can answer it in a
surely
reasonable manner. What time and place are we looking at in terms of this game? Is this the previous Star Trek universe, the rebooted universe? This is
still like OG timeline.
Okay.
Star Trek universe, and again, it takes place after the last of the Star Trek Next Generation movies.
But it is the original timeline.
It's not the Kelvin timeline, no,
Okay.
which is the J.J. Abrams verse, which is also why Spock is still here, because Spock, eventually moves his way over to the other one. And I'll say this right now, I'm pretty sure they just got a voice actor to do Spock. They did not try to AI generate some sort of bullshit version of Leonard Nimoy's voice. It doesn't sound that way, at least.
Okay. It sounds like a believable Spock.
It's believable enough. It sounds like what I remember old Leonard Nimoy sounding like, so...
Okay. Are you enjoying it?
I am. So my only real trepidation is two things. One, it's a little buggy. Not in a horrible game-breaking way, but in a dialogue starts clicking and popping or occasionally stopping short in weird spots. Occasional little graphical glitches where like a character's model starts phasing in and out in the middle of a cutscene. Like nothing that's like horrific and definitely nothing game-breaking that I've run into. Though I will also say that the game could do a better job of letting you know when it's autosaving, because it's just a blip in a corner. And you can kind of assume at the end of every major scene it will save. But sometimes if you stop in the middle of a scene, it's just like, nope, actually, we're going to restart that whole chapter for you.
Oh, I see. If you're like trying to get out of a session, I see.
And the actual gameplay is pretty marginal so far. It's a lot of, hold down a key and then push the mouse in one direction or another, or... when the one time I've had to do phaser stuff, it was pretty basic, just point and shoot stuff. They're not doing very much with it. I don't think that's the draw, but it is the thing that I think people always kind of bagged on Telltale games about, of like, yes, there's great storytelling here, and sometimes the character interactions can be really interesting, but the actual like doing stuff in the game is much more like, it feels like it's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Or bolted onto this engine.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Is the story good?
So far,
is it entertaining? Is it engaging? Is it a think piece? Like, does it feel like Star Trek?
I haven't gotten there yet in terms of like deciding whether or not the overall story is good, but I'm saying it's interesting so far. Like, I think especially the stuff involving the new first officer is so far better than the stuff with the other guy. The other guy is more the B plot, and it's more about his camaraderie with a couple of other, petty officers, and one of which he has the option to enter into a relationship with, who looks an awful lot like a very young Gates McFadden. So I'm guessing someone on the art team over there just had a crush on her, which, hey, I get it. But yeah, like I think mostly the first officer stuff is a lot more interesting, both her background and kind of the main plot that's happening with her. Where it bears out, I couldn't even tell you at this point. It feels like there's some twists coming. We'll see how they handle those.
That is Star Trek Resurgence. That is out now on the on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, and over on the Epic Game Store, I believe. That is on the PC side of things. $40. Star Trek Resurgence. Brad, did you try any of this Warhammer 40K Boltgun?
I did.
What did you think?
I think that Adeptus Mechanicus is a pretty rad name for whatever the hell that is referring to.
As I was going through the intro of this game, which is like just kind of drops you into Warhammer jargon.
They throw it all at you.
I was like, man, Brad is going to be in a sea of weird pseudo-religious, as I think Austin once said, rubbing blood on machines to make them work style thing.
Yep. Oiling, yes. Oiling your engines with the blood of the fallen or whatever.
The tone of the game is not apologetic. Go in there and root out the corruption. It is.
Yes. I mean, there are only two things I was going to say coming in here. A, once again, I will vow on this podcast, I will not get into techno. B, that line, I mean, they're landing on thick in that intro, but at one point, whoever that lady is she even alive? Is she a techno zombie? I'm not quite...
That's a good question.
I'm sure she's got some weird title and is 10,000 years old and was... Anyway, built out of skulls or something. At one point, she stops with the big info dump and just says, "Suffer not the heretics to live." Ooh, which is your mission objective. Like, she's quite literally, that is your purpose in this game, is go fucking kill these traitors.
You are a space marine who lands on this planet that has been affected by the warp. You are full on 8,000-pound killing machine. The rest of your legion, I think, is dead at the outset on this crash landing. You find a relic Boltgun pretty early on. First, you're just chain sorting guys. Then you're just going at it with your special Boltgun. You have a little servitor skullhead that's around you that is there to help you along in the narrative.
But like it's that thing. So it doesn't speak, it's text only, and the text is on screen for such a short time, and the action is so frantic in this game that I just miss what it's telling me constantly. So I think I have missed some core game mechanics. It's a Doom-like, we should really just say. I fucking hate the phrase boomer shooter.
But as well you should, by the way.
It seems to have caught on, like I've said it before, less because of some pedantic, like, I'm not a boomer, I'm barely even Gen X. But more because this is exactly the kind of game that boomers were trying to take away from us in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it pisses me off, too. They don't deserve to be associated with this badass shit.
It is much more a doomer shooter. It is a...
This one in particular, very much. I mean, it's got mouse look, colored lighting, jumping. Like, it's not trying to be Doom, but in the sense that it's a key hunt game. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not super far. I'm only on the 3rd level, but so far both levels have been about finding keys to open doors.
Yep.
There are secrets, and they straight up rack up your time, kills, secrets found, and everything at the end of the level in an extremely Doom-like fashion. So, very much trying to be that.
You've got some health, some armor. You get grenades.
What is it? Contempt?
Contempt. You build up contempt.
What is contempt?
I think it's armor.
That's what I gathered, but I thought I saw it go down without anything hitting me at one point.
I'm not 100% sure either.
Because you get contempt from pickups, but I think maybe also from killing. I'm not quite sure.
It did say if you melee kill, you can get contempt, but I tried it. I wasn't getting it, so I'm not sure.
That's the main one that I think I missed from that skull, and I haven't found like an in-game reference for what the stuff does in the menus or anything.
Mostly I move forward and destroy whatever's in my path.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. Like, the shooting feels good.
That was going to be my question, is like, how does it fare as far as like just, I know you have to kind of get into like a laser brain focus with those kind of games.
Yeah, it feels pretty tight.
What are you playing it on?
I put it on hard. I went ahead and put it on hard.
Okay.
Which has been manageable, but definitely I was getting down like below 50 health by the end of the 2nd level, and I was like, oh, maybe I've flown too close to the sun here.
I just got the shotgun, and that's when I put it down. The boltgun is very good. It's make short work of things, but they started throwing some heavier enemies at me, and so I'm glad I'm out of a shotgun now. It's fun. It's like, again, it's unapologetic. You're just creating blood stains throughout this world. You are purging this world of the chaos.
Trying to think of other games to compare to. Like, I have not found any enemies with like hit scan attacks yet. Like, hit scan meaning like no travel time. Like, you just, if they have a line of sight, they hit.
Yeah.
Like, everything from the enemies has been like relatively slow moving. I mean, they're still pretty fast, but like all of the enemies' guns have like tracer shots that come at you that you can maneuver around. So it's very much you can run 90 miles an hour.
Yes.
You should be dodging and juking these shots type game.
A lot of strafing, yes.
Yeah, totally. It's like a lot of strafing around guys. You can pretty much come through really just about unscathed if you're super good at dodging stuff. Like, they give you that chance.
I'm up to some of the fauna on the planet, and they're a little harder.
Yeah, those toads I ran into at one point. I was like, because you have a that's another thing, like newer Doom, they seem to have maybe taken some inspiration from like glory kills, because you can kind of lock on to and snap to people with your chainsword.
Yeah.
And do an attack. And I did one of those on those toads, and it did like no damage.
Right. Just shake it off. But it's fun. It's the music's
basic,
pretty good. Like, it moves.
It looks good. It runs well, of course. Good music, good like snap to the combat. Like, it's just seems pretty paper thin story once you're down there, but of course for this kind of game.
Yeah, I can't say that greatly surprises me.
I kind of wish that skull was voiced. It is voiced, but it's like just gibberish, like demonic sounding stuff. Like, I wish it had actually been voiced so you could keep up with what it's telling you a little better.
Some of the stuff it says is pretty entertaining if you're able to read it. It's dumb. I feel like it's doing the parts of Warhammer 40K that I like, that it's like, look, if we just all acknowledge that this is ridiculous and over the top, the better off will be. And it just does that. It just leans into that side much more. There's another side of it, which is the kind of Crisis of Conscience Warhammer 40K, which I also sometimes enjoy. That's more on the Space Marine game side of like, what are we actually doing? Like, are we the baddies side of Warhammer?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the like, nah, just lean into it and just go.
This is not the game to entertain those questions.
Yeah. Don't suffer the heretics. It's Warhammer 40K Boltgun, $22 on the Steam store, but
is that on sale or something, or is it just...
That was the on sale price was $20. It's a weird price, at least on the Steam store. I didn't look it up on the consoles to see what it is priced at there. Did not seem like it was on a Game Pass, though it is on the Xbox. So, a game that is on Game Pass, very quickly here, is Planet of Lana. Game that is from I was just going to say Fellow Traveler. It's not Fellow Traveler. It is Thunderful. Publishing by Thunderful, I believe. And then it is cool. It is a game that kind of reminds me of a Limbo or like a Playdead style, maybe Out of This World kind of. It's a side scroller with some jumping around and platforming. It's neat. It's cute. The background visuals are awesome looking. I think the music is really good. So far, the story has been interesting.
This looks very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I've really enjoyed it so far. It's the puzzles are okay so far. You get this little pet, or not pet, I should say, companion. Let's say. It looks like it just fell out of like a Studio Ghibli movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you kind of work together to solve a bunch of puzzles as you're trying to. I'm not going to spoil it, but you kind of figure out what's happening here with the story. It's neat. It's not a lot to say about it yet. I haven't finished it. I don't know how far I am in it, but once I booted it up, I kind of wanted to keep playing it and not play anything else. Planet of Lana. It's on Game Pass. Otherwise, it is $20 available on the PC and Xbox. You can cash it as out now.
Looking through screenshots for this. It looks really nice. I might check it out anyway, but a few years ago, I fired up Inside and super sampled it to 4K and went and took a bunch of screenshots that I have since used as desktop wallpaper.
Okay.
For several years. This seems like a good candidate for doing more of that.
Yeah, the environment stuff looks amazing. The character stuff, it still looks good, but I think not as good as the environment stuff. It's got a real artistic bent to it.
Some of this like rafting through this swamp with these giant trees and like this weird robot chase in the desert thing happening. Like these... Maybe I should just grab these screenshots.
It's very pretty. Again, that's Planet of Lana. Finally, I booted up After Us. Do you guys remember this one? I feel like we've talked about it, but it kind of comes in and out of the memory pretty quickly here. This was shown at somebody's showcase press conference at some point. It kind of looked initially Journey-esque, but I don't think I would not say it is Journey-esque.
Yes, it's got some platforming, right?
Yeah, you kind of play as... I don't know what you are, some kind of spirit in maybe a post-apocalyptic version of some planet. I don't know if it's Earth or not. It could be. But you are basically sent to go rescue the spirits of this thing that has found itself into these animals. You're like this, not God, but you're kind of working with this thing that calls itself the Ark. I don't know if it's an AI or some kind of spirit. Something really, really bad happened on this planet, which could be Earth. And it seems like the Ark in the sense of a Noah's Ark, where there was just kind of like, okay, we'll try and get all the animals off. And now you have to go back to this planet and go basically release the spirits of these animals. I thought it was going to, when I first started playing it, I was like, this feels a little saccharine to me. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to engage with this. This feels a little like, oh, it's so messy, and you have this power to like make grass grow. Kind of like some of my complaints with flour of like, this is kind of the easiest.
You're never going to stop hammering that one, are you?
Lowest hanging fruit of like, make the ugly stuff pretty.
I like flour.
People like flour. I don't hate flour. It's just I felt like it was a really simplistic version of that story.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. This goes places that are much more interesting, I think. The scenery in it starts to get kind of dark and a little off-putting in places. Some of the imagery in it, which I actually really like.
So there is some menace to it.
There's some tooth to it.
Yeah.
And also, look, I brought squirrels back to the damn world. I brought a dog back. Like,
good.
I'm an animal person. I kind of can't really complain about finding these spirits, and then suddenly there are these like ethereal raccoons running around. It's kind of like feels good. So horses start running. These like ethereal horses start galloping around. It's a neat visual. So while I was a little bit apprehensive, being like, this seems like okay, we're gonna make the grass grow on the planet. It is some of that, but it went beyond that. Gameplay wise, I think they actually do a good job with the traversal and the mechanics of jumping around and getting around. They're not gating a lot. They give a lot to you very early. Dashes, double jumps, runs. It doesn't feel like they're holding too much back. Wall runs. And I'm still pretty early on, so I'm glad for that. The traversal and mobility seems to be handling very well in a game that you want to run around a lot in. So it doesn't feel that slow to me either. It's a lot of go find the main objective, and you can peel off into side areas to find side spirits if you want. So there's a main spirit you're after, and then you can like, hey, do you want to save the boars? You can go find that spirit and go save them on the side.
Go save the feral hogs, man.
I don't know. Do I? Imagine a world without boars.
I think you do.
I think you do. Look, I'm telling you, man, something real bad happened here.
Could I like opt to not save the mosquitoes, for example?
I have not saved a bug yet. It's mostly
Look, we need some of those bugs, Vinny, okay? Bring the bees back at least.
I don't think any plants are growing here, aside from the ones
because there's no bees.
Magic into existence. After Us, I haven't played that much of it. I'm only an hour plus into it. But so far, I went from being like, to being, I'm going to keep going with this to see where it goes. That's $30. That's available across consoles and on PC. I was playing it on the PC on Steam. $30. It's After Us. Those games there are, just to recap before we take our break, that was Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Star Trek Resurgence was the Star Trek game Alex was talking about.
And I should just say real quick, I never answered Brad's question. Yes, it does in fact feel like Star Trek.
Okay, good.
There you have it. Put it on the box.
Mm-hmm. It's an ineffable quality, but it's important.
Yes.
We talked a little about Warhammer 40k Boltgun. That's the Doom-like Warhammer shooter, a Doomer shooter, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Planet of Lana. That was the kind of side-scrolling platformy one. And then After Us was the game I was just talking about. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to go set up on our end to go watch that PlayStation Showcase, and we'll talk about that on this here podcast right after this. See ya. This week's show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Brad and Alex, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. You know if you want or need a VPN. You know. And if you
know that you know, and you know.
You know what you did.
And if you don't know, you probably should know. ExpressVPN is out there, and I've actually used ExpressVPN. I've had it for a couple of years now. Their speeds are pretty good. I find their services. I used it when I went to travel. I've had it since. We used to travel at like Giant Bomb. I use it in hotels. I use it on public Wi-Fi. Their speeds are pretty good. Their locations are pretty good, at least from what the locations I was using. If you're traveling and want to go watch your shows, let's say while you're in another country and they're region locked, maybe you can use ExpressVPN to go access your shows from there. Or listen,
I need my stories. Doesn't matter what kind of vacation I'm on. Doesn't matter how far afield I am of civilized society. I need my stories.
If you're sitting in a hotel room in Italy and you've got to watch, I don't know, name a show, Succession. I don't know. That's a show. That's what people are talking about, and you can't get it there. Maybe ExpressVPN could help tunnel you into back into Succession.
What you do with your VPN is your business. It's virtual. It's private. No questions asked.
If you want to get way more shows and save money while you're at it, go to expressvpn.com/Nextlander. And don't forget to use the link to get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Nextlander. expressvpn.com/Nextlander to learn more. Thanks, ExpressVPN. All right, we are back, and it is time for the news. Now, let me just tell you the news. We just watched the Sony PlayStation Showcase mere minutes ago.
The thing that is definitely not a state of play because they called it something else.
They did.
PlayStation Showcase, man.
Yeah, they did. I'm with Brad on this one. They kind of...
long-running brand under which they announced the PlayStation 5.
The second annual. Anyway,
I think that's right because I think there wasn't one last year, right?
I don't think there was one last year. No,
a stream last year. Is this the second ever PlayStation Showcase? I don't know.
We just got out of there, so our information is coming in pretty fresh. We have documents up. We'll be talking from what we saw and what we are probably reading as we talk about it. In terms of what some of these games are, because some of them did not reveal their juicy details in their trailers.
The typical Games Press scramble of watch a thing live and know nothing about the stuff you saw.
There was a lot. You saw the phrase "not actual gameplay" a lot during this.
And then plumb your inbox and blog posts and everything else, press releases you can find to try to actually find out what the games are.
So let's start with impressions, just because we kind of just got out of it. Brad, just kind of general impressions.
They're making a new marathon.
Okay.
Except it's not marathon, but what the fuck? What?
But it is a marathon. It's not the marathon.
No, it is very different. I guess we'll get into that. I thought it was a solid showing.
Yeah, same here.
I would say like a solid B.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
There were some interesting things there.
Like, it wasn't bad. There was definitely some good, interesting games in there. I think the thing that maybe threw me off was that a lot more of that stuff came from smaller indie studios, and there was really just not a lot of first-party presence here.
Not as much as I would have hoped. I was kind of hoping for at least one more big first-party studio showing or announcement.
Yeah, they had I would just say first-party stuff. We had Spider-Man and a GTA trailer, Gran Turismo trailer. Sorry.
Yeah, not GTA. If it was GTA, that would be the thing we led with.
Gran Turismo trailer, some Spider-Man, and was there anything else?
Yes, a few other things. Fairgames that was announced at the beginning is a Sony studio.
Okay.
Or the game is called Fairgames. The studio is Haven.
Yeah,
that's Jade Raymond's new studio, which was acquired by Sony.
And that was the thing we thought was Hyenas because it had kind of a similar initial setup, but it is a different game.
Yeah, according to the PlayStation blog, that is a competitive heist experience, it says.
So a Payday.
So not quite this. Yeah, but Payday doesn't have
co-op,
teams
isn't it?
competing.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds PvPvE to me.
What's the one that was in Alpha? Not that it was with the destructible
finals?
terrain. The finals.
The finals is the one that Embark is doing.
Okay.
Hyenas is the creative assembly game. Not that these may not be that similar, but they all definitely have a little bit of a future game show kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these. Not that they're the first to do it, but the Modern Warfare. Was it Warcraft? What's their big open world or open
Warzone.
map? Warzone has that thing where you get the money and get out. Also, the
extraction game.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Right. So that's Haven Studios' Fair Games or Fair Games
with a dollar
Fair
sign.
Games with a dollar sign.
Okay. And was there another one, Brad, that was a first party that snuck
Concord.
in there?
Concord.
Oh, that's first party. Okay.
Is Firewalk Studios, which I cannot remember the lineage of that studio. It's a new studio, but I think it was founded by people who have done stuff. But this is Firewalk's first game, technically.
Okay. And that's also a PvP game, right?
It's Bungie and Activision veterans.
Oh.
Ryan Ellis.
Oh. That is
Ryan Ellis and Tony Hsu.
Interesting. I didn't realize that was former Bungie people. That is a sci-fi PvP shooter as well. That's basically all it says here. Vibrant sci-fi universe, PvP multiplayer first-person shooter.
So let's do this. Let's just run down. Let's start. Alex, pick a game that you thought was interesting. Let's talk about it. We don't have to run down like the run of show here. Let's talk about the things we liked from it or want to give airtime to.
Why'd you have to start with me?
Because you love video games.
I do.
Think fast, man.
I do love video games. Let's just fucking talk about Marathon because that is buck wild. Like not just again. This is a different thing. It is not just a continuation of that one Mac shooter that Bungie made.
One Mac shooter.
There were two of them.
Yeah. Were there two of them? I thought there was only one. But okay. But they were max shooters, and this is something different. But they're bringing back Marathon as a brand. It's
actually
back.
Hang on. What was Marathon Infinity? Actually, I think there were 3 of them.
Okay.
Yes, there were. I'm not entirely sure what Infinity. I didn't really play Marathon at the time because I did not have steady access to a Macintosh.
Right.
Which, if people don't know, Bungie used to be a Mac-only developer.
Yeah.
And Marathon is a first-person shooter that came out about a year after the first Doom, to put it in context, and did some fairly revolutionary for the times things, which is to say, every time I credit Dark Forces with being the first-person shooter to let you look up and down, a bunch of Marathon heads come at me and go, no.
Actually.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch here. Number one, what the fuck is Bungie doing after Destiny has been a big thing for a very long time. I mean, it's been, how many years has it been since they took that $100 million from NetEase?
Couple at least.
Oh, dude, way more than that. I mean, it was way pre-pandemic. That might have been like 2018 or 19 at the latest. I don't know if this is the next big thing from them, though. I'm kind of feeling like it might not be.
How many things could they possibly have in the pipeline at once, though? Because they're not that big of a studio.
When you take $100 million, you can hire a lot of new people.
They should put the the Marathon trilogy. They should put that. There are 3 games. I just looked it up.
Okay,
they should put those out in some playable form somewhere.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
I have to give it up here. The announcement, blog post, and interview about Marathon on the PlayStation blog by one Brian Ekberg.
Hey. Well,
good old Brian.
He's billed as the editorial lead at Bungie on this article.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
He left Turn 10 a bit ago.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is not a new Marathon in the sense that it's a follow-up to those games. They say pretty explicitly here, this is a new thing. This might nod to the fiction of Marathon a little bit, but it's an extraction shooter.
Yes.
I mean, whatever.
Very firmly, it is one of those.
Like, I really like the extraction shooters I have played and want to play more of them. It's like maybe a little easy to kind of scoff at whatever the trendy first-person shooter mode of the moment is, but Bungie makes incredible shooters. Like, Destiny still has some of the best shooting on the market.
Yeah.
So seeing the Bungie take on an extraction shooter, I think, will be pretty exciting.
But Bungie does decent world building, or I would say pretty good world building, but they also do pretty good solo campaign or campaign stuff. And to see this has no single player campaign at all, I don't know, kind of bums me out because I don't know how much in the PvP realm I'm going to last, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm trying to intuit, like, is this the new thing from Bungie? And I really don't think so. I really would not be surprised if they are diversifying.
Yeah.
That this could be a team at Bungie working on this while other parts of the studio work on other things.
Yeah, we'll see. My familiarity with Marathon is mostly from the pages of Mac magazines, like where people would just kind of like it was mostly following the development of Halo. Because I made it to my computer lab in like 96 at college that had all Macs, and I think that's post Marathon and right when like everybody was talking about Halo coming out.
I think computer labs are definitely the places that a lot of people played Marathon back then, because who owned a Macintosh for games? Nobody.
Right.
The people who liked Marathon back then, extremely protective of and passionate about Marathon, because I mean, it's a very well regarded game, but also like that was what they had.
So yeah, that's exciting, and that was a fun one to see come out. No gameplay, but a kind of a look and feel trailer.
Interesting sci-fi thing that's not Destiny.
Brad, do you have a thing you want to call out here or take up next?
I would have said that, but Alex took mine, so maybe.
You can take one of mine then.
Okay.
Don't know anything about Revenant. Okay, Alex, talk about Revenant Hill.
So this is the new game from the Glory Society, which is some of the folks that made Night in the Woods. This is their new game. I mean, it is a new game. It is not a sequel to Night in the Woods, but I saw, as soon as people saw the art style when that trailer popped up, everyone was like, Night in the Woods! Which, you know, look, Scott Benson has a very specific art style, you know? But they haven't said a lot about what that game is yet, and this is, I think, the first time they've actually shown it anywhere. But there is a prominently featured, very cute black cat, so you can kind of do with that what you will. I believe witches are involved, and possibly some Industrial Revolution stuff. Hard to say.
Well, this blog post on the PlayStation blog has a bajillion details about it. The year is 1919. Grow crops to sell at the secret markets. Put down roots. Learn to write. Cobble together some hexes and charms.
Mm-hmm.
In Revenant Hill, you strive to build an egalitarian community.
It's harder than you think.
I wonder, is that a Stardew Valley?
I think it might be a farming game.
Harvest Moon type thing?
Like
maybe?
Farming, but with like witchcraft.
Farming is witchcraft. You ever try to grow something? It's hard.
Yeah, I know. I'm no good at it.
It's hard. It's Revenant Hill.
All right, Vinny, now you have to pick one.
Okay. How about that, what is the name of it? Hold on. Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah.
That game looked pretty good. That was the one that to me looked like a Ninja Gaiden Xbox meets kind of
Dark
Souls
Wuxia,
game. Yeah, yeah.
Like flavoring.
Yeah. Not a lot that was said in it. It was a lot of gameplay, or what we assume is gameplay in the
like
trailer.
Gameplay. Yeah, one of the few that actually did.
So we'll see what happens. It's funny that I was reading the blog post on the Sony blog, the interview they have there. They kind of go into a bit of the development. One of the quotes there they say is, having a decade of mobile development under our belts, we've learned to simplify control inputs for touchscreens, giving players ways to execute elaborate moves. ... They say more.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because as I was watching that gameplay, being like, "What are you actually doing here?" There's a lot of action happening.
Like I said it on the stream, like that style of action game, I think it takes a lot to impress me because there've been so many of them these days. But that stuff looked really impressive. But there is definitely also an aspect of like, is that swordplay actual gameplay?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Some of the crossed swords interactions look awesome in this, but are you actually doing that, or is that some pre-done animation triggering? I'm not sure.
Hard to say at this stage.
But yeah, that looks very cool.
It does look cool. I mean, the ... here I'll say is they go on to try. Basically, what they're saying is without mindless button mashing, right? They've tried to map interesting controls. So if they could pull that off, that'd be awesome. If it's not just QuickTime events or just button mashing.
Yeah, if that combat is as cool to play as it is to look at.
Yes, good point. Yes,
that could be pretty rad.
So that was that's Phantom Blade Zero, the whole 66 Days to Live thing by S-Game and Rainblood.
You know,
Rainblood.
Rainblood Town of Death.
Rainblood
sounds like a bad town to me.
Is a game they made apparently previously.
Rainblood. Anything else, you guys? Well, there is more. How about, let's just say, the Talos Principle 2.
Yeah.
That's another one I was just looking at over here. That makes me want to go back and revisit the Talos Principle.
That game's very cool.
I can't remember if I finished that game or not, and I want to go back. And it's a game that is very well regarded. And well loved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it changes later on. I played a decent chunk of it. It's very structurally very like Portal puzzle challenge room. But I feel like I remember people saying that it outwitnesses the witness on like an actually good, very philosophical story that is actually well written. I remember people said the writing is pretty incredible by the end of that game.
I need to boot it up.
I mean, they definitely got the same style of robots. Like the second they've had a robot on screen, I was like, oh, it looks like the Talos Principle.
I know them robots.
And it was.
That's supposed to be coming out later this year. I don't think there's an exact date on that. That's the Talos Principle 2.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else we want to pluck out here?
Metal Gear Solid Delta?
Yes. Finally. Yeah, like, is that how you read that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's Metal Gear Solid 3.
They removed, the long-rumored Snake Eater remake was confirmed here. I don't think there were a lot of details. Is that on the PlayStation blog?
It was another not actual gameplay trailer, though it was a very nice looking CG trailer, and then with the little stinger at the end with the music and Snake showing up. But
I don't think there's anything on the PlayStation blog about that announcement that I can find.
Konami's lawyers wouldn't let him.
It's possible that, maybe Konami is withholding all the info about that one for themselves.
I
really wonder what that is.
Before I open my mouth, I want to double check that there's nothing here.
I just pulled up an IGN story about it.
Okay. Full remake?
I do believe it is a full remake.
Oh, they do confirm it is pronounced Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Okay.
Or that's what they're saying here, at least. But also, they don't seem to have much more info than was in that trailer.
Okay. All right. Well,
the remake will feature the original voices.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. If they're bringing Hater back, or if we've moved.
Konami also promised, quote, unprecedented graphics and immersive sound.
They always do. Unprecedented.
If I love my graphics to be unprecedented. That could be interesting. Snake Eater is a very interesting game.
Did Konami stop making games, or they just say they were going to stop making games?
They did for a while.
They kind of stopped.
All right.
And they said they were going to stop. And then they made Metal Gear Survive, and then they definitely stopped.
Mm-hmm. But now they're back, baby.
They licensed out Castlevania to whatever the Dead Cells developer is called now, Evil Empire, I think.
Oh.
That's what they changed their name. But they've done some stuff here and there in the video game realm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is even them doing the remake.
Oh no? Okay. So maybe they're just stopping development.
Yeah, Bluepoint, IGN lists Bluepoint as one of the rumored studios doing this, although they're owned by Sony now. But then again, this was at a Sony thing, so maybe.
Okay.
Virtuous, which I think is a Chinese studio, is also rumored to be maybe working on this. Again, there have been rumors about this remake for ages, and it's cool that it's finally out there. I want to see what they do with this. They also announced some kind of collection.
Yeah, which we got confirmation was a separate thing would possibly not remade versions of these.
Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1.
Okay.
Will include... Wait, what? The collection will include Metal Gear Solid as well as the first 3 games. What does that mean? Metal Gear Solid is the first game.
Are they saying Metal Gear 1 and 2?
Surely that's not what they...
It's called the Solid Collection, right?
Metal Gear Solid Master Collection.
Okay.
Volume 1. I don't...
Huh.
It's not clear exactly what this is.
Maybe they just mean Metal Gear Solid as long... And 2 and 3. Maybe that's just what they mean. Not Metal Gear 2 and 3.
I think that's what they showed, right? It was not...
Yeah, those were the thumbnails.
Here's the slide. Yeah, it's MGS 1 through 3.
Okay.
And I assume this 3... Yeah, this 3 is, I assume, just a straight port of the PS2
because they did that
versions.
PS3 sort of, slight up-res version or something at some point, didn't they?
For 3?
For 3, I think so.
Maybe?
I can't remember.
It's hard to keep track because there have been previous sort of loose collections of these games.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Metal Gear.
Another way to play the original 3 Metal Gear Solid games.
That's right.
Very curious to see this Snake Eater remake.
Obviously no Kojima on this one.
No. Good lord, no. Absolutely not.
We got Helldivers 2. That looks kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Helldivers is not a game or name I ever expected to see again.
Yep, looked like behind the back on this one. Gameplay third person.
Yeah, I thought Helldivers was pretty neat. Yeah, I liked that top-down format for the first one was cool, but seems like they're going third person here, still keeping the laser sight thing.
I wonder if they'll have friendly fire in this. I feel like I remember Helldivers was a don't get in the way of somebody shooting.
Yeah, and there were a lot of call down strikes in that game too, of I'm about to bombard the entire area where you're standing with white phosphorus. You better move.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ghostrunner 2. That seemed like a cool trailer. Ghostrunner, I feel like, is a game that, again, people who liked it really liked it. So that's kind of neat to see. What else got announced? That was Teardown coming to PS5. That was a cool announcement.
That's cool.
That's going to come with the additional maps, it looks like, and also ability to add in. It said the interview said selected mods will be available on the PlayStation from the main menu. So that's
interesting.
Yeah. We got some gameplay from Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm going to say, while it looked like the Assassin's Creed games that I'm more partial to, it also looked like an Assassin's Creed game that I've played already. So
yes.
It didn't make me that excited, but I like that
to be
style
fair,
of Assassin's
they've made 27
Creed.
of those games,
I know,
you've probably played at least a few of them.
Yeah, that's Assassin's Creed Mirage.
I weirdly had some nostalgia for the first one watching that trailer.
For sure.
The setting goes a long way there. Like the old world Baghdad definitely has that flavor.
Like both the setting and the focus on like the hood and hidden blade imagery. Like,
yeah,
I was like, okay, this is what I remember assassins in this franchise like looking and acting like. This is cool.
I wonder if they will completely strip out the loot stuff or maybe just dial it back. But it looked like more like Assassins than just swinging your sword in combat, you know.
Valhalla had less of it than Odyssey did, but it was still a lot.
I feel like I sense some Assassin's Creed fatigue out there.
Oh yeah,
I mean definitely, and also Valhalla was 7,000 hours long, so
right. Yeah. With the recent games being as long and dense as they are, I wonder if this is a little more back to basics, especially if this grew out of a DLC.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe just a stopgap while they get to whatever the hell Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be.
If this is Assassin's Creed's Miles Morales, then fucking great. Absolutely.
That's kind of exactly what I'm getting at. And like Miles Morales was much stronger for being so limited in scope. If this is a bit of a throwback to the original game, I would be all for that.
That's coming out, or supposed to come out. I bet they'll hit this date in early October. So that's this year, obviously. We got that. What was the foam party one?
What was that?
Let me pull that. I just had.
It's a Square Enix game, and it looks a lot like Splatoon, but also foam parties. They're
Foamstars. Foamstars. Yeah.
We're all gonna drop ecstasy and fucking throw on some Oakenfold and go to some fucking foam parties like it's 2002, baby.
Yeah. I mean, even the blog post is pretty short on it. It looks like it's a fun party join 'em up game that kind of looks like Splatoon to me.
Yeah. Splatoon is very popular, especially in Japan. So
yeah.
Yes.
They showed Dragon's Dogma 2.
They certainly did.
I thought that looked pretty good.
Yes.
I assume a bunch of that was in game.
Seemed like it.
I'll echo what I said on the stream. I tried to get into Dragon's Dogma and failed.
You and many other people, man.
Twice at least.
Thinking about maybe taking another stab here. Maybe taking another stab.
The thing I said on the stream, a bunch of people in chat kind of confirmed that when I said like first game kind of felt like it was like struggling against whatever constraints were in place. I said hardware. Some people on stream said budget.
I think it was both.
It just felt like a game with ambitions beyond what it was able to pull off. So seeing this maybe bigger in scope with better hardware backing it could be interesting. I hope this is cool.
Yeah.
So Dragon's Dogma 1 is the place to play that on the PC at this point?
I guess. There's a Switch version that came out later that I think is pretty good. I played some of that one.
Okay.
PC probably. I mean, I'm sure there are like mods and
quality
stuff
of life
like
mods,
that
maybe.
I would say let's say if you were to fire up Dragon's Dogma PC on a stream at some point, you would probably get a lot of support out there.
Yeah.
and some
maybe somebody would vote for it.
Some maybe and some tips and advice on how to go about it.
We
mentioned the marathon stuff, but there was a kind of a brief Destiny 2, the final shape teaser.
Yeah. People, I think they have alluded to this in their kind of roadmap that they've put out a multi-year roadmap a while back. But people in stream chat were confirming that this is like the end of the sort of light and dark storyline.
Okay.
So this, I assume that's probably next year's big expansion.
So does that mean we got a cube? We got the sphere, the triangle. Now we get a cube.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means for Destiny after that.
I'm sure they will figure it out, or maybe this is their segue. They're working into Bungie's real next thing, like you kind of mentioned before.
Yeah.
We got a Neva. That was the Gree game, the one with the sad trailer where the
oh god
the spirit wolf
some real fucking just blatant heartstring tugging with that one. Like the art looks great. Like I'm not trying to disparage like the art of the thing, but like I don't know, man. That's one of those things that you're putting in that trailer for a very specific reason.
Yeah, we'll see more about that. I couldn't find that on the blog, so I don't know too much about that. It might be deeper in.
I don't see much there. Let's see. Oh God, I started to say Beat Saber PSVR 2. I missed that it's out today.
Oh, I missed that as well. That's neat.
Jeez, that's intense.
But they've been saying that was coming, so
yeah.
Oh yeah. That's not new. I wonder what the situation is as far as upgrading. Oh, it's free. If you owned it on PSVR 1, it's a free upgrade.
Yeah, I think the thing that they're trying to get you in to pay money for is that Queen music pack that is also launching today.
Yeah, that is $14, I am told.
Ooh. For the game or the pack?
No, for the Queen pack.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How many songs are in it?
Let's see. Rough. Like I'm scanning this bullet list, 10 to 12, I would say.
All right, that's not an unreasonable amount of money for that number of songs.
That's like almost $1 a song.
Yeah.
Another One Bites the Dust, Bohemian Rhapsody, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Should I read the rest of these Queen songs?
Is it the greatest hits? Is it
Don't
basically
Stop Me Now, I Want It All,
Okay.
Killer Queen,
Uh-huh.
One Vision, Somebody to Love, Stone Cold Crazy, We Are the Champions, and We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot of classic Queen songs.
They have a lot of classic songs, is the thing.
Yeah, Beat Saber, I think, is wildly popular. I need to play that.
There was the game from Abzu and the Pathless folks. Sword of the Sea, Giant Squid is the name of that studio. Sword of the Sea, which looked like they just took all their games and mashed them all up.
Sword of the Sea, but there was an awful lot of sand in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there were dolphins flying through the sky.
Yes.
Yeah, that looked nice.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say there other than, hey, if you like that Journey stuff, there's an artist here who will give you more of that.
They literally call the thing a hover sword. The like little skiff.
What else would you call that?
I don't know. That game looked neat. Looked like a kind of a chill vibes game. I didn't love the Pathless that much. I thought it was a cool setup. Abzu I really liked.
Abzu
is quite good. Let's see. Got the Alan Wake 2 release date that's been rumored was confirmed.
Yeah,
and a nice look at least some CG, cutscene stuff.
Oh, I think a decent amount of
there was some gameplay in there, but there's definitely a lot of cutscene as well.
Yeah, definitely. Straight up, less than 2 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah,
perfect timing for that game.
They showed the Sam Lake cameo.
Yeah, oh my god, Polygonal Sam Lake finally.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like you might play as another character aside from Alan Wake.
It looks like there's an FBI agent who might be the other playable character. Alan Wake looking like he's seen better days.
Yeah.
Looking like John Wick, I'm telling you.
Very Wick-esque.
That looks cool. It looks very different. Well, not very different, but the horror looks different, I guess I would say. It's a lot more monster type stuff. Prime, like forest primeval type stuff,
Yeah.
Less of the dreamlike horror from the first one.
I do wonder how actiony it'll be. The action parts of Alan Wake 1, I mean, it's been a long time since Alan Wake, but they weren't the greatest.
It was serviceable, but the third-person shooting, I think, kind of wore out its welcome by the end of that game.
Yeah. Don't find those thermoses.
I think, haven't they said they're going more survival horror with this? I mean, you could very easily see this being more in the modern Resident Evil vein.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
Which that's, I mean, Remedy's kind of firing on all cylinders recently, so that sounds awesome.
I'm looking through this list.
Real quick, speaking of Resident Evil, I did not expect to be that excited by the RE4 VR mode. But that looked good as hell. Yeah,
they didn't show too much of it, but if that was gameplay, it looked like it was running well.
It was. Yeah, it was. They say that here.
That looked like it was going okay. They showed a little bit of the combat where Leon is holding a knife and a gun at the same time.
Yeah, it's the freeform like one-to-one hand movement, gunplay, and knife stuff that looks pretty awesome there. Especially, it would be criminal if that VR mode does not encompass mercenaries.
Yeah, I mean, but I could see them not doing it. But yes,
that would really suck. They would be making a huge mistake there.
You'd probably have to isolate it to VR only, right?
Yeah, it would have to be kind of a separate thing. Anyway, that looked very cool.
There was more stuff here. Not too much more that grabbed me.
Is it telling that nobody has mentioned Spider-Man 2 here?
Well, I was kind of saving that one for last.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was an oversight or if you were just...
I mean, so here's what I got for Spider-Man. I am excited that they are making another one of those because I really like Miles Morales a lot. I like the first game too, but Miles Morales kind of hit the spot for me more. Just I think partially because of its brevity, but also just because I think Miles is a more interesting hero overall. What they showed here was very flashy, I will say. They give you a big, like cutscene trailer featuring Kraven the Hunter, which establishes that he's coming to the concrete jungle. Mm-hmm. But then you've got the lizard in there also, and also Peter Parker has the symbiote suit. Mm-hmm. They don't show Venom, but I mean, I imagine that Venom will play a part in all of this as well. You don't get that suit unless Venom's coming along.
That was probably the thing that stood out to me the most, or was the most surprising from this, was that there was no Venom, no setup for the symbiote suit. Like he was just in it. Like they just. I mean, you could see that being something they want to save either for a later reveal or for the release.
Yeah.
But to just skip all the preamble of, oh, here's Venom's here, here's what happens. Like he's just nope, here he is in the black suit.
It's almost like there is an assumed level of cultural knowledge at this point that when he got that suit, that means there's an alien. And it's making him angry because boy, it sure was making Peter Parker awful angry.
Almost maybe like too transparently. I mean, look, that's what the thing is.
They were telegraphing from the moment he put that thing on that, like, oh, hey, by the way, Miles is definitely going to have to pull him back from something at some point. Just a lot of very flashy, quick time events and constant shit exploding everywhere. And look, it all looks great. It looked very smooth.
Looks fast.
Fast, like great fidelity. But also, I was kind of exhausted by the end of that thing because I felt like I had no actual grasp of how much you were actually doing versus how much is being taken from you while this is happening.
Yeah, it looked very good within the very specific framework of what the first two games were.
Yes.
But I don't feel like I saw much at all outside of that framework.
No.
Yeah, they have the clearly there's some switching between Miles and Peter that's going to play into stuff.
Okay, sure.
That is the main mechanic they kind of showed off there, other than the spider suit powers.
That was the one thing that jumped out at me. I was like, okay, that could be cool, but I like I said on the stream, I wonder if that's in this case, it looked like it was very much scripted into the mission.
Yeah,
I do wonder if there's more of a GTA 5, just like swap between them whenever and do different stuff, kind of thing as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a pretty long write up on it on the blog, and I'm kind of scrolling through to look to see if they tell you how you will be switching. They're just kind of going to like the power of the PlayStation 5 and the loading times for the switching instantaneously and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, partially because Miles Morales was a PS5 launch game, but that was the game they used to explain a lot of the loading stuff.
Yeah, they're doing PS5 that again came here. Out yeah,
of they were like, hey, we don't have to replicate the same mailbox asset 6 times across the game install anymore, because of seek times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny. They're still using this as the loading time demo game.
Yeah,
like actually, I mean, like the writing is potentially the thing I'm the most excited about in this game because both of the previous games were very well written for as comic book games go. I just hope there's more to the formula of the gameplay than there has been in the past.
I don't need 2 whole burrows to find every collectible in.
Yeah, and even just like the combat was quite good for what it was, but
yeah,
but that Batman style of combat has been around for a while.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit of from the Venom suit or the symbiote suit, the what the heck, prototype vibes
a little bit, sure.
Okay. Just, the goo.
If it's the most flattering comparison.
I didn't mind prototype. It was all right. look, prototype was of its time. It was fine. Anything else? Like I said, that's not everything. There was actually a decent amount of stuff. There were
that was most of what stood out to me.
A couple more VR games out there. Nothing really grabbed me too much. There was a game Synapse and some other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the big stuff. We got, like I said earlier, got that Gran Turismo trailer in the middle there. Five Nights at Freddy's, Tower of Fantasy, which I still think is a bad name. some Grand Blue. Yeah, I think it was fun. Plucky Squire had, I think, a new trailer. I think we've seen some of that somewhere.
Oh, had that been announced before?
I think so. The Plucky Squire sounds so familiar, so I don't want to say it was brand new.
I feel like every time you say that, I feel like you're just on the cusp of saying something offensive.
Yes, the Plucky Squire. It's like my weird bodice ripper book I'm writing. The Plucky Squire.
That's a Devolver game.
It had a cool look to it.
Yes, that did look cool. I'm just real quick. Oh yes, no, that has been announced for a while, actually.
But yeah, that's the Sony PlayStation Showcase. Let me collect my thoughts here. That is going to be it for a little bit here. I think we've almost got a month, if not three weeks ish, until we get back into what would normally be E3 land.
The next volley, yes.
Oh, no, 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks? Okay. So it's middle-ish of June?
It is 2 weeks from today plus 4 or 5 days.
So we got some time before our next thing there, and then, of course, we'll have...
That's the Microsoft thing. The Jeff Keighley thing is before that.
When is that?
The 8th.
Oh,
which is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
So 2 weeks, folks!
And people were saying on there that the Mortal Kombat reveal, or I guess maybe assume that means gameplay reveal. Anyway, the next showing of Mortal Kombat 1 will be on the Summer Game Fest kickoff stream.
Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat, you guys saw that trailer? Let's segue into Mortal Kombat here. What do you think?
They went and did it. God damn it, now they have made it impossible to Google information about the original Mortal Kombat.
They could have done anything.
They could have done anything. They could have used a word instead of a number. It could have been called Mortal Kombat Rebirth, Mortal Kombat Genesis, anything. They did one.
Yeah.
It works so well for Xbox.
Well,
that just means I'm going to have to Google Mortal Kombat 1992 from now on.
Yeah.
So Mortal Kombat 1 is called Mortal Kombat. So this technically is a different name, right?
No.
Yeah?
It's not. They're not. It's not enough.
Having spent years trying to Google information about the original Xbox and failing,
I
know how this goes.
This setup here is basically a continuum of the new universe they set up.
It seems very exciting. I don't have a good sense from this trailer of what it's going to mean.
It's like, the setup in the trailer is what? It's like Liu Kang basically be like, make the world what you want.
They straight up have stuck with the end of 11 of Liu Kang becoming a god.
Yeah.
And gaining the power to remake reality.
Dogs and cats living together, Sub-Zero and Scorpion shaking hands.
That is literally the basis of this game, is Liu Kang is remaking the universe. My only, and maybe we'll find out in 2 weeks, my only complaint about this trailer is that you don't really know beyond, hey, here's all these characters you know and love killing each other. Like, what is it going to mean? I don't know what. Actually, Austin Walker, talking to him about this, had a pretty good observation that Liu Kang maybe gives a little bit of a Superman in Injustice vibe in this, as an extremely hard-ass protector of the realm, maybe a little too hard-ass.
Well, that's what they kind of turned Raiden into in the last trilogy. There was definitely a period there where he went full war on terror in Mortal Kombat.
Sure.
What is it? At the last scene in this is Liu Kang or Fire God, whatever God, Liu Kang basically splitting Shang Tsung in half.
Yeah, boy, do they just fucking go full bore on the CG fatalities in this thing. Oh my God.
Might be too much. I mean, listen, we've just watched Dread and we've watched The Raid and we've seen a lot of, let's call shorthand for a billion rib cages flying out, but this is pretty gross.
I'm looking at it again right now, and I actually cannot believe they put all this in this trailer. I mean, it's par for the course for the fatalities that they've been doing for the last couple of 3 games. But holy shit, man, just very graphically stomping somebody's face into pulp.
Yeah, yes.
Gouging eyes out. It's like, I get it. Those are going to be in the fatalities, but like putting that in this announcement trailer is just like, wow,
they're letting you know.
At the same time, I think It's in Our Blood is an incredible tagline for a new Mortal Kombat game.
I agree.
Just fantastic. And
so
I mean, I'm excited to see what this means. I don't know what does Liu Kang's new reality look like. Apparently, so far it looks an awful lot like the old Mortal Kombat reality until they say more.
Who are the two people that are with Liu Kang? That one looks like Kung Lao, and who's the other one?
I think one of them is Kung Lao, and is the other one? I'm waiting for a shot that I can see.
It's Shang Long.
Is it Kung Lao and like original Kung Lao?
I don't know.
Because there is an older Kung Lao.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw some people talking about the great Kung Lao, who is, I think, the ancestor of our Kung Lao from 500 years previous.
Yes. Okay. But they wouldn't be in the same timeline. I guess who knows?
It could be the two of them.
Anything, man.
Could be anything.
I also considered whether maybe Liu Kang has created a mortal Raiden here.
A mortal Raiden. Oh, because, like put Raiden back on the Earth.
Because now Liu Kang has kind of sort of say he's sort of taken up the divine protector role that Raiden used to occupy.
Right.
And they of course are going to want to have a Raiden in this game because
does that happen in the last one? In 11, doesn't
he
become a mortal? A mortal? Raiden, doesn't he
Oh, does he? Does he lose his divinity or his
it's triggering some kind of like scene that I remember with him, like his eyes stop glowing or something at the end of 11. Like
that might be right. I don't know.
Like I thought maybe when he divests his power or something.
That's possible. That's possible. The main reason I think that is because they go out of their way, with the exception of like Johnny Cage and Sonya, they really go out of their way to get all the original characters in this trailer.
Yeah.
What does Johnny Cage look like? In a brand new universe?
Jean-Claude Van Damme, apparently, but only if you pre-order.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck is that? What is that?
That's them just getting fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme as a skin.
That's so weird, man. Like, the closest he's ever gotten to a fighting game franchise is playing Guile in Street Fighter.
That's right.
Why do you... I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I'm like, like a lot of the inspirato for like Johnny Cage's character design definitely came from the muscles from Brussels. That's just not his voice.
I guess that really was Van Damme's heyday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And also, like, Mortal Kombat has dabbled in the camp quite a bit.
And also they are not shy about getting actors to do, like, they got fucking Schwarzenegger, they got Stallone, they got fucking Peter Weller to do RoboCop.
Yeah. Look, I'd put me in a Mortal Kombat game. Just make my fatality not that gruesome.
I'll play RoboCop.
Yeah.
There was it a leak from, where was that leaked from? There have been rumors about the first DLC pack for this thing, but I think those have gotten more definitive.
Yeah, because I think the JCVD thing was in there.
This was from the 19th. Combat pack. Amazon Italy product listing. That's always an Amazon listing somewhere.
Always.
DLC fighters will include Quan Chi, which who the fuck was asking for that?
Not me.
So this is weird. Okay, Ermac and Takeda, who are Mortal Kombat characters as well. Also Peacemaker. Homelander. And Omni-Man.
Who's Omni-Man? Is that the boys?
No, it's not the boys. It's a different thing.
Yeah, Homelander is from the boys.
Who's Omni-Man?
Omni-Man is from Invincible, which is another...
Oh, yes. I watched that whole season of Invincible. That was all right.
Invincible is another what if Superman was evil. Or not evil. I haven't seen it, but... it's a...
I don't want to spoil it.
It's a Superman, but...
Yes.
Not pure kind of thing.
It's kind of got a lot in common with the boys.
Right. And has anybody seen Peacemaker?
I
haven't, but I've heard it's great.
I saw the whatchamacallit, the remake they made where he was in it.
The Suicide Squad movie.
Suicide Squad, yeah. I like that.
What is the Peacemaker character? Do we know?
I mean, what is his deal?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like over the top good guy.
Is he also a superhero? Also a Superman?
I don't know DC Comics that well. In the Suicide Squad, he's like very good with guns, I think.
Okay.
I don't think he's got like superpowers. He wears a helmet. I think his thing is like a helmet.
That's what I was wondering, if they were going 3 morally ambiguous Superman characters in this DLC or not.
Oh,
sounds like only 2.
I think Peacemaker would die pretty quickly in that fight.
Compared to a lot of these other guys, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he makes it out of Suicide Squad, honestly, so I don't know. Or maybe he does in some after scene. Maybe that's where the Peacemaker takes place. I don't really remember.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very, very curious to see more of Mortal Kombat 1. Still continue to be blown away that I care this much about the Mortal Kombat story. But that shows you how good 11 was.
They've done that work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're in for buckle up, right? We're going to take this one probably to another 11.
I don't know. What you mean in terms of what?
Like Mortal Kombat games, like we got the next 20 years roadmap from here.
I think this is supposed to be kind of the beginning of new timeline.
I mean, Ed Boon, we got to retire at some point, man.
These games do very well.
Yeah,
I have seen, not all sales numbers are some are estimates, some are like pieced together. Not all sales numbers are very clearly announced, but there is fairly strong evidence Mortal Kombat is actually the highest selling fighting game franchise out there over time. Granted, they've made a lot of games.
They have.
To be fair, they have made way more games than some other franchises.
According to my data, they have made one game, and it's coming out soon. So it says it right there in the name. This is September, which is not that far away.
Yeah, that's very soon. This trailer just seems confident to me.
And gross.
I don't know exactly what they're doing with this, but they seem to have a very good idea of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Mortal Kombat. That was a Sony. I have to keep thinking of the name. The PlayStation Showcase.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brad said before, there will be a rumored, or I don't know if confirmed at this point, more Mortal Kombat during the Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's what people said in Twitch chat as we were streaming, but I'm not sure.
So we can check that out. And what'd you say? 2 weeks? That's in 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks. Also not a long time, man. I think that's going to do it for the news there. We had some stuff. A lot of it was kind of answered in the Sony PlayStation thing. So I was glad we could watch that and see what that was all about. This week, we have a grab bag coming up. On Thursday, we've got a Patron's Choice, which I had some ideas, and then maybe I'm gonna have to rethink in a little bit here about some of this stuff, because there were some games announced there. I was like, maybe I should go back and boot up the Talos Principle again and see that. So look for a poll for that going up shortly, if not up already by the time this podcast goes up. Monday, what did we do on Monday? Oh, Alex and I played Firmament.
Yes.
That is from the Mist folks and Abduction folks. That game has some puzzles in it. That game had
and
some
a French
puzzles.
lady.
Had some puzzles in it that I think Alex and I, our brains were melting out of our ears at some point.
I think I'm too dumb for that game.
But it definitely set the scene. We played on the Steam version. There is a PlayStation 5 version. There is a VR version in the works. On the PC, you can get it over on the VR as well, I think. So check that out. We've of course got the Ramblecast. We've got the Watchcast, which we just recorded. The last in Some Guys Are Coming to Kill Us. That was Dread, and up now over on the Patreon side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is
The Raid.
The Raid. Fine.
I was just waiting for a dramatic pause there.
Yeah. I had never seen it. I really enjoyed it.
Hell of a movie.
You can go catch our thoughts.
Not a hell of a dub, but hell of a movie.
Hell of a movie. We watched the original subtitled version.
Unfortunately, I had to edit in with the dub, and it's
oh, so you caught some of that.
Not leaving me a lot of material to work with.
Oh, funny. That's very funny. You can catch that over on patreon.com/Nextlander, where you can find a tier that fits you and your lifestyle. Especially if your lifestyle is checking out what we say about the Raid. That's up there now. There is one tier, though, on that there Patreon, patreon.com/Nextlander, that gets a shout out on the podcast. Alex Navarro, that tier is the Mysterious Benefactors tier. And would you kindly read those names for us today?
Oh, I suppose I can. Our mysterious benefactors for this week are RRE, John Richardson, Vornak, Park, Kelly F., James Smith, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Gary Pejsky, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, hashtag Bunny Crimes, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Razgriz 2, Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R, Randy Duax, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, Tyler Treese. I don't know why I'm saying it like this.
I don't know
why I'm
either.
doing this cadence. I couldn't stop. I started,
stop him.
and I just couldn't stop. I think I just talk like this now. Fuck.
I feel like, you definitely got locked into it. I don't know if you were adding
Once I did it 4 or 5 times, I just couldn't stop.
You just can't stop. That's the power of the Mysterious Benefactor tier, and we thank everybody who has joined us over at patreon.com/Nextlander to grant that power. Is a really amazing thing to lock Alex into that kind of cadence. Just the power of the community. It's amazing.
I'm very excited about all of this. This is how I talk now.
We've got a lot of stuff, like we mentioned, going on and going up. And again, you can check all that stuff out. Thanks for joining us. If you watched that Sony PlayStation Showcase, thanks for joining us for that during our stream. If not, you can check out the archive, which should be up now. Hopefully up now. There's a lot of licensed music in that one that usually doesn't play well with VODs, though it's video on demand. So we'll see if that thing is up. Hopefully they just muted parts out or demonetized. Sometimes they take the whole thing down. Those rascals. Don't they know we're covering video games over here? Mm-hmm. I'm shaking my fair use editorial stick over here. Thank you very much, Alex Navarro. Thank you very much, Brad Shoemaker. We'll be back very soon. That's going to do it for the podcast. See ya!